hey, is the audio better?
Here's the 3-hour documentary.
Yeah, yes, but no. You know what I mean? Because is the audio better? Yes. Well, I just played Interchange and it's the same. Well, binaural is better. Well, there isn't binaural on Interchange. No, the audio is not better. This easier. I just can't. I can't do it. I can't have this conversation so many times. I can't do it. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast, a show dedicated to talking about all the bonkers things in life, like music, content creation, and video games. I'm one of your co-hosts, Jesse Kazam.
And I'm Salty.
And I'm Salty. Salty V. We need Veritas, Satire V, and then Salty V.
Oh my god.
Where it's just like
I'm
montages
sure
of your stream.
I'm sure the channel exists.
Oh,
against
man.
my will.
So what's happening? Why we salty? Tarkov just sucking wiener?
Well, the last couple of days had like epic raids that were just ended by the most annoying, you know, like I killed earlier today I killed a 3-man and then a duo in reserve.
Okay.
5 bodies.
Yeah.
And I like dropped all my, picked up their, they had, you know, a bunch of sick armor and guns and whatever. And then it was like, I ended up dying. Oh, I should probably learn the names of the pawn buildings.
I don't know.
Whatever the middle one is, where there's like the 3 buildings around the helicopter.
Yep.
The middle one with the marked room and basement. You know how like at the end there's the window that has like the shelf.
Yes, and you can jump out or in.
And it was like there was a guy on the roof.
Okay.
Because there was actually like 3 more people. As I'm like looting these guys, I hear like another squad, and then I see another guy, and I'm like, let's go. Like I can actually hear right now, and which we'll get into. And I ended up outside. I walk towards the shelf thing to go up to the window, right? And it's like, because it's 3 millimeters high, you get stuck.
Yep.
And I'm like, can't get in. And then I jump, and when you jump, you're like, you know, because you have like that forward momentum. And then I get killed from a dude on the roof, like looking down, because I'm sitting there walking in place for 27 minutes, you know? So it's just like, why does a raid like that have to end with some dumb, stupid stuff? And then I just started working on peacekeeping mission, which is kill 850 billion scavs with M4s
with the stupidest armor of all time.
And the problem is like, I'm never one that like buys stuff on reset, really. Like, and yet with 308 and with 556, I will go and I'll buy all the 856A1, all the M80, like every time it resets. And I went through, I don't know, maybe 2,000 rounds of 995, 855A1, 856A1.
Anything you had that was good.
And then that was before I got peacekeeping mission unlocked. So then it's like, I took 90 minutes to sell my 2 junk boxes. 5.5 million rubles out of, I printed 5 million. And I was like, hell yeah. I build some M4s, buy some blueberries, buy the meds, get some ammo, and I'm at 2 million now. Spent 3 million, and then I literally just insta-lose. I've just insta-lost half of the shit I built. So it's just so frustrating, dude.
Yeah, dude. That's the siren song of Tarkov recently. Is like it just getting in its own way. Like you know what I mean? We're doing fights when you like jump and you make a flank and you try and back up and your like foot's caught on a thing and you're trying. So like you're in your brain, you've made all the calculations. You jumped out and then you went, oh, I jumped too far. So you move to S and you start hitting S because you want to back up a little bit. And you're just like your feet are moving and you're walking in place trying to track, but you're trying to track your enemy, assuming you're moving backwards. So your tracking is even off and then you die and you're like, why was I standing right there for so long? And there's like, oh, there was
why didn't you hit your shot, man?
There was a twig or the what gets me is the one tree branch hits your arm. I told you about that last week. I was fighting the guy night vision AXMC thermal and I just like a brush hits my shoulder and I move to 0 walk speed, which is perfect for him. So because he lines up the shot and it's like brutal. I've been doing all week. I've been doing capturing outposts.
Fuck that. Dude.
Yeah,
Oh
which
my
has
God.
been brutal. I cheesed it last wipe. It was just like pick the server, and I was like, let me see. I was like, okay, well, if I'm gonna do it, I want to do it on Shoreline first because that's the worst one, just at the pier, right? So I was like, let me see. And in our first like 4 raids, I got 7 kills. It was like 4 raids in a row. It was, so the first 2 raids, have you seen people in the tree? If you go all the way back to the pier, you can jump on the railing, jump on a hut, and jump into a tree and just wait.
Don't tell anybody that.
Yeah.
We're gonna beat that whole thing.
Well,
out.
no, yeah. So the first 2 raids, I jump up, I fall off, I miss the tree. I jump up, I miss the tree. I jump up, I get in the tree, I get shot in the leg. I was like, son of a. So I like run down, they push, we get into a fight. I get one, I die. Second raid, same thing. I try to get up in the tree, I get shot immediately. So I was like, okay, too many people know about the tree, I'm done with the tree. But it was like 4 raids in a row of 3 separate squads, either all trying to get capturing outposts done or just trying to loot. It was like tons of PvP. And I was like, yo, this isn't going to be that bad. And then 3 hours and we didn't see anybody out there. Like, it was just like, I thought it was going to be so good. And then it was just like 3 hours. And so that's when, like, truly part of why I consider cheesing capturing outposts is not even, it's selfish, but not in the way people think. They think I just want to get the quest done easy. I'm thinking I don't want to deal with the stream when I'm doing capturing outposts. Why are we camping? Are we really camping in Extract, bro? Are you really camping here? Oh, is this so-and-so? Is this Expo camper stream? Oh, wow, dude, I thought you were better than this. And it's like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, we went from
like me sitting there for 40 minutes building all those M4s
Yeah.
and buying the blueberries, and people are like, "Why have you gotten in a raid yet? Is this how you're
Yeah,
ever gonna get into a raid?" It's like the game won't let me.
Exactly. It's like, you know, all the people. It's like, I thought you were a Chad. What are we ratting now? And so so the only way to cope with it is I just meme really hard. Where I'm like, no, this is. I've been calling it Nikita's vision all day. I'm like, no, dude, this Nikita's vision right here, baby. Like this is the quest that stops all the Chads in their tracks. Like, if you want to get capturing outposts done, you have to hang out, because multiple times, like there was one of the raids on Shoreline where, so the raid's like 40 minutes, and at 28 minutes, people were like, leave, reset. And I was like, no, like, and then at 20 minutes, people were like, leave, reset. And I was like, no. And then at like the 15-minute mark, I killed 3 people. Because they were waiting, and so they come. So it's like you can't even. You just have to camp it out. You know what I mean? Like, or
there's the diminishing returns of waiting, going to the exfil, waiting in the queue, all that other shit that it's like you want to minimize that.
Exactly. So as long as you're hearing shots or something's going on the raid, you might as well wait. You know what I mean? And so it's like, and then because of that layer of, if somebody finally comes down there and I die to desync, or I die to being tripped up on a bush, I'm like giga-mauled, because I'm like, I want to be done with this. That could have been progress. I don't care about the loot. I'll delete 1 million rubles from my stash if you give me that kill, Nikita. Like, I'll just delete 2 million rubles. Like, It's not about the loot. It's not about the money. It's like, I just sat here for 20 minutes. Somebody comes down. And if it was like a GG fight, whatever, but it's like when I die and they're not even peeking yet, because it's like crazy desync or something, I'm just like, dude, so I got Shoreline done, I got customs done, we're on woods, I only need 5 left. And I was like up on the fence, and Valiant was like, oh, I hear somebody. It's a scav though. And then I see him, like, oh no, he's a PMC. He comes in and he starts looting a container. All right, I got an AK-101, 5.5A1. Pew, pew, headshot. He gets up, runs away. I was like, what the hell? I push him and he swings the corner and one taps me. I was like, like, it just like, okay, I guess. So it's been brutal. That layer of trying to accomplish capturing outposts on top of dealing with everything is just like so rough, but I'm so close. Now, there's a lot of Tarkov things to go over, and later some of the things today with how intuitive and well designed they are. But before we hop over to like more Tarkov related stuff, I do want to thank the first sponsor of tonight's episode, and that is Factor. Factor is here to help you achieve all of your goals around eating. New year, fuel up fast with ready-to-eat nutritious meals delivered straight to your door. So Factor is a company that I've actually used before, and we got sent some stuff, which is awesome. So it's basically, it's like all the convenience of like HelloFresh or something like that, because they're all owned by the same company, but these are ready-to-eat meals instead of you having to cook them. which it's all the convenience, which with any of these, like with HelloFresh, with Factor, with all this stuff, the convenience for me is like number one. There's 34 meals you get to pick from every single week. Every week you can decide how many of them you want, what kind you want. You get to pick the ones, and there's so many. So it's unbelievably convenient. You can stop for a week, start for a week, go for a few weeks, then change the amount of meals you want. So the convenience is like through the roof. And then secondly, no matter what your lifestyle is, Factor has delicious flavor-packed meals for you. So you can do keto, you can do meat and veggie, you can do vegan. So the convenience is insane. The food is delicious. It's prepackaged, it's pre-made, it's ready to go. All you got to do is cook it. So it's really cool. Factor is a really cool company. They also sent us, which I hadn't tried before, their smoothies.
The smoothies, yeah. The best endorsement I was gonna say is the fact that I came back from vacation, waited like a day, looked in the freezer, and half of the Factor meals were gone, and all of the smoothies were gone. My wife is in love,
dude.
So
for me personally, the smoothies are the perfect amount of sweetness. It doesn't feel like a sugar drink that's just being called healthy because it's smoothie written on it. It actually feels balanced. It's sugary and tasty enough to like want to keep drinking it, but it's not overwhelmingly sweet. I was actually really impressed with their smoothies. So, and for me personally, the more recently I have been noticing how expensive going out to eat has been. Like, because that's always the thing, is like, yeah, well, you can make food or you can just go out and it's so much cheaper than these things. I'm serious. When you break it down, it's actually not. Like, so you get like chef-made, dietitian prepared meals delivered to you. They're delicious. They're ready-made. It's awesome. So Factor is really, really awesome. So you can head to factormeals.com/podcast50 and use code podcast50 to get 50% off your first box. That's code podcast50 at factormeals.com/podcast50. 50% off your first box is actually a pretty insane deal. So check that out. So huge thank you to Factor for sponsoring this episode.
I've been looking for Gluhar for like 1,000,000 years. The one single raid I have him, and it was after doing like 5 dead raids where I just like spawned in, looted like 5 buildings. I finally got my RR, so like I can just get out. But then like I ended up dying at one point to something that like wasn't really a big deal. But it was after I had used something. I don't remember, but I had spent a bunch of time with 60 rounders.
Yeah.
And then like I died, built another gun, and it had 30 rounders, and I forgot it had 30 rounders.
Oh yeah.
So that, coupled with one of the stupid annoying things that, like, sure, if you think about it, it's my fault because I know the game is broken.
Yeah.
But pressing shift and then W.
Oh, that got me the other day.
But when you press W and then shift, you do run.
Yeah.
And every other video game in history, the player controller state machine is capable of saying, hey, they press W. Are they also pressing shift? Or, hey, they press shift. Are they also pressing? And they make you run. So I come in the front building of one of the pawn buildings, and there's one of the boss guards. And I'm like, laying into him because it takes 5 bajillion. And then he goes down, and then it's like, and then I see Gluhar come down the stairs sprinting at me, and it's like, click, click, click. Oh, and then it's like,
you turn to run away.
Go to hit shift and W, and you just go, walk. And I'm like, go! And then I get killed, shot in the back while I'm about to get into a doorway. And it's like,
dude, I hit a really bad when I was on Streets. I was playing with Sheaf, and we were fighting these guys, and Sheaf had all the attention. It was a duo. And so I pushed around the corner, and I hadn't let go of shift yet, and I hit T to turn on my flashlight, and I round the corner, and I checked the chamber of my gun, and I fall over dead. And I was like, chat, that was my fault, but I need to go punch something. You know what I mean? Like, shut up. I know what happened there. Oh, you didn't let go of shift. It was like, I'm aware, but I just need to punch something really quickly.
I gotta say, I just spent like 3 or 4 days playing a game called, have you heard of Returnal?
I keep hearing about Returnal. Yeah.
I think it's been popular again because it just got ported to PC like 3 days ago or something. And I saw a Jacob Geller video essay on it
Oh
like 2
shoot.
years ago.
Okay.
Really, really. And I saw the video essay and I never had interest in playing the game. It was just a beautiful video essay.
Yeah.
There's spoilers and stuff, but it had been long enough that like I didn't remember any of the spoilers.
Yeah.
But dude, it's crazy how I can play a game for like 100 hours
Yeah.
and then not once experience an issue with movement or any of the controls.
Yeah. When you
Like,
just feel like the game and you are in sync. You're like, it's like,
Yeah.
yes.
It's like,
Yeah.
so even if you f up, even if I make a mistake with the controls, the idea that like anybody should be diminishing the like frustrations that come out of it when the clunky controls of the game and how it
Yeah.
handles the inputs is part of the frustrations. Like, sure, you're the one behind the wheel, but
Yeah.
you're driving a car where the tires are constantly popping off the rims.
Yeah.
You know, you know what
Yeah,
I mean? And it's
yeah.
like you're in control,
Yeah.
but I don't want the wheels to go flying
Yeah.
off. And man, this game was phenomenal. There was literally one thing that annoyed me about the game, a single thing that annoyed me, and it was the fact that it's like a bullet hell kind of game.
Yeah.
And it's a roguelike. And if you like kill a bunch of enemies, all of the like that you pick up
Orbs,
from
yeah.
them, it like comes at you. And sometimes it's a little ambiguous when I have coming at me. I'm like dodging out of the way of it, but it was like, no, collect
was
those
health,
where
yeah.
I think it's bullets, you know? I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that's literally the only thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, it's just
That's
the
cool.
contrast.
Yeah.
The contrast is amazing.
Of it feeling like it respects the player and the time and
Just,
and the
just being well designed.
intuitive and well designed. Yeah. All right. So, holy hell, has Tarkov been
Dumpster fuel, trash can.
Yeah. So, I figured the most recent news is the patch today, but I figure we'll do that later because over the weekend and early and so far throughout this week, there's just been some absolute shenanigans going on. I guess just to jumpstart it off, the TLDR is we started seeing some people getting 60-day temp bans on their accounts, including some relatively prominent streamers. So not like full-on bans. And then I don't know if you've confirmed this or not. I don't know. And apparently their accounts got reset as well. That's what I've heard.
That's what I've heard as well.
Okay.
The way that those have been confirmed is people have gone in and searched the name, like their account name in the friends list, and they saw the level was 1. Now, for all we know, they mistyped it, or whatever.
Yeah.
But the assumption is that they got reset, which makes sense, right? Like if you were going to 60-day temp ban somebody for, RMT, then
So in classic fashion, the Twitter and Reddit verse erupted, and in a truly expected disappointment, it has gone so off the rails that any valid criticism of like BSG isn't invalid anymore, but it's hard to find because when you're swimming through these insanely inflammatory, made up stories of things that didn't actually happen. And so that's been really brutal to see that happen as well. Also really inconsistencies in what people are claiming. Like people are claiming 2 different things at the same time, and those things are not compatible truths. Like there's a bunch of stuff. However, so it was like 60-day temp bans, accounts got reset. And I think the big thing here to start on is it seems as though none of these people have been given a reason why they were banned. I guess all of this is under some shroud of like, we don't really know. You know what I mean? Like there's, I guess, like a possibility that if any communications were leaked, the relevant information was kept out of that leak or whatever. You know what I mean? But we're just, I guess, reacting to the information that's been made available. But the big thing here is that like the people don't know why. And so, and the assumption is it's all RMT related. And then things started getting crazy with like a great example is like Vibin. There was the clip floating around of him getting a viewer kit that was a raid bag with 4 slicks and probably like 200 BP, 200 55A1, 200 995, 200. I mean, it's just like full of the best ammo, 4 slicks, and a crazy gun or something like that. And then that started going crazy with like, well, he got banned for RMT. That's a viewer kit. That's not a viewer kit. What's a viewer kit? And then
that one screenshot is what 98% of the conversations around this they'd all devolved into yelling at each other about streamer privilege and this one screenshot.
Yeah.
Which is like, in my opinion, 3% of the discussion.
Exactly. And that's kind of what I was saying, is that like things got so derailed and people lost the point. You know what I mean? Like there was a point and then it got lost, and then people were fighting over if a streamer, should be able to get that gear and stuff like that. And it's like, that's not like the bigger point here is like, what are the rules? How are they enforced? Is there any communication from BSG? Is it freaking ethically, right to ban somebody and not tell them why, whether it's in TOS or not? Like, these are the conversations, but it just evolved into yelling of like, exactly how many BP is too many to get you flagged? And I was like, bro, we're off base. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. So I actually knew some details about this before. Well, I knew some of this last week. We didn't talk about it because now that Quattro Ace has come out and made his video where he talked about what happened, now I feel like I can talk about what happened.
I didn't see his video, by the way.
So I'll give you the rundown.
Yeah, the TLDR.
So he reached out to me one day, and for those who might not be aware, so Quattro Ace is a Russian streamer, really nice guy, incredibly good at the game. He came on my radar way back in the day.
Yeah, like 2018.
Yeah, I made a video that was like, you've been looting wrong, kind of whatever, and that was sort of his like big blow up moment. To the point where like after that he was getting like 4 times my viewership on Twitch, which is like awesome. That he would get any amount of recognition or whatever from that, but he basically he used to be like a labs main.
Yeah.
He would literally just play labs and like farm raiders and PvP and stuff before it was overrun by cheaters and before the loot was nerfed and before they limited like the key cards.
Yeah.
Because you used to be able to just run labs all the time if you wanted to, if you had enough money. So he reached out to me and was like, hey, dude, like, I haven't talked to anyone. I haven't told anyone this yet, but I went to go log on today and I was 60-day banned. Like, he didn't find out until he got to the launcher. And he's no email, nothing. Now, this was like 4 days before Vibin and all that other stuff.
Okay.
So this was before all that went down. Actually, I don't know how many days. Maybe it was a week. Maybe it was 2 days. I don't know.
But sometime before then.
Yeah. And he said he reached out to whoever his contact was at BSG. Because here's the timeline of what happened. Now, I went through, corroborated everything he told me that was all on his stream VOD.
Okay.
And I literally went through and had to translate 100+ messages from Russian because his chat's all in Russian.
Yeah.
And then translate like what he was saying and to try to reverse engineer. So this is a whole timeline that I can, like I said, I can corroborate with the VOD of what happened. So he was playing Tarkov. One of his viewers said, yo, I need like a COFDM radio thing. I got a black key card. Toss that up and I'll trade. Now, like, streamer or not, you'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, who's going to say no to that?
Yeah.
There are plenty of people who are like, I'm not going to run labs. Like,
for sure.
I don't care about the key card, but I need this thing. I haven't been able to. So whatever. That to me, not a problem. If someone wants to do an unequal trade, it's his item, right, to do what he wants with. It's my item to do what I want with.
Yeah.
Whatever. So he puts up the barter, and then he goes into a raid. Now, in the middle of the raid, a bunch of people are talking to the dude, and you see him in chat, and he's basically like, yeah, I don't even play the game really anymore. I ended up getting the black key card on like quick pay, easy pay, whatever.
Buyrubles.com.
Like, yeah, some RMT site. And Quattro's like, what the fuck, dude? He got out of the raid because the trade had went down.
Yeah.
He got out of the raid, opened up the little messages thing, retrieved the key card, and then deleted it. Yeah. Went to his contact at BSG and said, hey, just want you to know this guy is, was doing RMT. I bought the key card from him. I didn't know. I deleted it, whatever. And the guy said, okay, we'll look into it. The next day, Quattro's 60-day banned. So, sorry, I'm distracted by chat. They're all malding, and it's so hard while everybody's whining in chat about Twitch ads. So he reaches out to his contact, and the contact at BSG says, yeah, I can't give you any more information. And he's like, well, was it the key card? Like, what the like,
yeah.
Can you give me any information? Like, what am I going to do as a content creator who streams Tarkov full time? His career relies on it.
Yeah.
I can't play. Not only can I not play for 60 days, but what do I tell my community? That I was banned? Yeah. When I didn't do RMT. Now, keep in mind, there's a universe in which all of the people that got banned, Vibin, Quattro, there's a world in which they all buy items that they've engaged in RMT. Like, there's a world in which that is possible. I'm not going to say it's not possible. I don't know any of these people like they're my fucking, brother or something. I don't even know that it was a Tarot Tech is the other guy's name. I'm unfamiliar with him. I'm familiar with Vibin. Never really, I don't watch much content. Ever anyway. And there's a million, Tarkov streamers. Vibin's one that I just hasn't come across my radar as one. I keep saying radar, and I know everybody's joking about that. But Quattro, I've been sub to for a while, and I wanted him to be on our Twitch Rivals team. Like, years ago, but they wouldn't let him for whatever reason. I forget. Yeah. So, again, we don't have all the information, but the fact of the matter is that he doesn't know. Nobody knows. Yeah. Now, he reached out to me and said, "Hey, dude, can you help? What the f do I do? What can I do?" And I said, "Yeah, let me see if I can help you, dude. It sounds like this was a misunderstanding." Yeah. And I reached out to Nikita. Now, this was 2.5, 3 weeks ago, and Nikita never responded. I don't know if he's been busy. I don't know if he doesn't want to answer me or, whatever. I'm not going to read into it too much. I don't know what to say other than he didn't answer. He didn't help me. Now, I believe Quattro reached out to Pestily. Pestily asked Nikita. Nikita answered him and said it wasn't the black key card, but we're not going to tell you why.
Yeah. So
and then trying to get follow up, then Nikita doesn't answer Pestily. So he just doesn't know.
That that's where, obviously, for I'm sure you as well, things are just so weird because there's so many layers to the shenanigans going on here. And I think the biggest nail in the coffin is that even if we know these people and still assume that they're doing some nefarious things, I don't understand. Now, that doesn't mean there is no reasoning, but I don't understand why not telling them. Like, you would think, and maybe this is crazy reasoning, but if I'm Nikita, if I'm not, because I doubt Nikita, it's just like Nikita personally sending these, but if I'm BSG and Quattro is buying RMT left, right, and center, right? And I'm BSG, and then we send out the 60-day, and Quattro not insta-tweeting it and being like, F you, BSG, and responding, wouldn't it be better to be like, if we knew Quattro was doing it, to be like, hey, we know, like, we can see that you're, engaging with these people and you're buying from these people. Like, we know what's going on. We know what's happening. We caught you. We're going to hold strong to this. Wouldn't you want to do that? You know what I mean? Like, why would you, if you were super confident that Quattro was doing it, why would you want the ambiguity of like, we're not going to tell you, and then give him that ammunition?
If you're going to temp ban somebody, presumably it's a slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
For what you think they would want to know.
Exactly.
Like, we are going to punish you, but not going to tell you why. We don't want you to do it again, but what that is?
So that's,
who the f knows?
And specifically in the Quattro incident, most other people didn't do what Quattro did. Most other people that got banned did what most of us would do, by the way. I'm not criticizing Vibin or Terratex, but most other people insta-tweeted it. You know what I mean? And went, what the hell? Like, Quattro even went and was like, hey, what's going on here? I see a potential reason for this. Is the reason? Was this a misunderstanding? So, like, the double, triple opportunity to provide reason and then potentially mitigate, even assuming Quattro was doing something nefarious. That's where, like, it breaks all the way down, where I'm just like, I don't understand it. Especially now, once again, we don't know. You know what I mean? We still don't even know if these bans were RMT related. That's what the assumption was. But like, I don't know of any information that exactly corroborates that it was RMT related. But assuming it was RMT related, I don't understand why. So like, we've talked at length before about when we're talking about cheaters, right? When we're talking about cheaters, you don't really want to like divulge too much, right? And be like, oh, we found this cheat, right? Because then they can reverse engineer and they can make that cheat, new cheats, whatever. When we're talking about RMT, and not just RMT, but when we're talking about punishing the purchasers of RMT, I would think you would want the opposite. I would think you would want, we know everything you've ever done. We're calling your mommy. Like, I think you'd want to show a force, because what you're trying to do here is scare people away from buying. It's anti-cheat without having to be anti-cheat. If you make, and obviously this is a hypothetical world, but if you scare 75% of all people that were thinking about buying RMT into not doing it, well, then less people are buying, which means the prices have to drop, which means some cheaters go, it's not financially viable, right? So like, I am so confused as to, if we're not just punishing the people that cheat and sell, but if we're punishing the people that buy, don't you want to come off as strong as possible? To come off and be like, we know, we have every flea market thing. We're watching your rep. We're watching your stash value. We're watching this. We have these things. Blah, 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 blah. Wouldn't you want that? That's what I'm so confused about. Because then Johnny Two Shoes, who just keeps hearing RMT, it was like, well, maybe I'll buy a slick and just see what happens. Maybe he won't now. You know what I mean? So like, I don't understand. And me not understanding doesn't inherently mean there is no reason, but this one is rough. This one is rough for me to be like, well, maybe BSG. Like, it just seems,
dude. If you go back to like episodes, like, bro. I don't remember if it was 112 or like 117. I literally used Podcast GPT to find this. By the way, I asked a question about BSG proving RMT to Chat GPT, and then you know how it provides links to that's how I ended up doing it. And I said exactly, I like predicted this entire thing like 8 months ago. the whole idea that there's no way to prove RMT, which is the problem. So here's the main issue that's the most important part of this conversation. It's the idea that I'm trying to figure out like the best way to word this. So oh man. There's a million people that oh man, okay. Sorry, I'm like totally I'm totally trying to like I'm 9 steps ahead of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I'm like walking it back and trying to write this live. So let me move to say something else. Here is a timeline of events this is my like tinfoil hat explanation.
Okay.
And this is based on all the information that I know, all the information that's public, all the information that's not public. Because as I just said, for 2 weeks, I'm having these conversations behind the scenes, seeing DMs, seeing screenshots, hearing all of these things. You know, a lot of the stuff I can't talk about or I can't share without throwing some people under the bus or whatever. But what it sounds like to me is BSG went and God, I'm caveating this with I don't have direct proof of any of these things.
Yeah.
This is just what I think is the most likely explanation.
Yeah.
BSG has some like script that goes through and is able to, with some heuristics, determine RMT guilty, yes or no.
Yeah.
It could be you go into raid with someone multiple times you were partied up with that was a cheater and they dropped you X amount of value.
Yeah.
It could be that you just get dropped stuff by different people and there's a certain threshold. Like I'm sure there's some arbitrary thresholds around how many raids, with who, and what you did.
Yeah.
For them to determine that you have done RMT.
Yeah.
Now, fundamentally, I don't think there's no way that they can weed out the RMT with those kinds of heuristics without possibly false banning somebody.
Yeah.
There are reasonable, even if they're edge cases, there are reasonable real world legitimate scenarios where I think people could and would and can and will and likely have been falsely flagged for RMT.
Yeah.
Either they were innocent or they were ignorant or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe someone's brand new. They're like, and this is just a complete hypothetical. Maybe they're level 7. Their buddy who's been playing for a few years got them into the game. They're enjoying the game in the honeymoon period. Their buddy's like, I'm done with this game. I'm sick of it. I'm just going to drop you all the shit I have, dude.
Yeah.
And then they do a bunch of raids where the guy drops a bunch of shit or whatever. You know, that's a scenario where, again, I don't know if that would get flagged, but that's a situation that's abnormal.
Yeah.
But I think perfectly
not
reasonable.
Impossible and would potentially be an edge case that would lead to something.
That's not something that I think would be unreasonable for a normal human being. Like, I have items in the game. Why can I not do what the fuck I want with them?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not selling them for real money. I'm just giving them. The same thing goes for, viewer kits and all that other stuff. So here's what I think happened. They went and they did a big old ban wave, and that ban wave happened to catch in their wide net some streamers. Now, of course, the streamers are like, we need explanations. BSG doesn't give any explanations other than some vague comments about RMT related stuff in some Discords and or private messages that people screenshot and pass around. Nothing official. And yet multiple people from BSG contradict themselves and say multiple things.
Yeah.
Some say it's RMT. Some say it's not RMT. Some say, whatever. And then Reddit and Twitter go nuts because someone finds a clip of Vibin getting a fat viewer kit. And that then becomes the focus of the conversation. It's all about how unfair it is that streamers get all this free stuff from their viewers. And then now nobody's talking about RMT anymore.
Yep.
Now the conversation becomes boosting
Yep.
and streamer privilege.
Bro. Yep.
and it would completely missing the whole point. And then someone, like literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, their entire argument is, here's a screenshot of vibing with a backpack full of stuff, and then here's another screenshot of a tweet from July of 2020 where BSG said, be careful about how much you trade. Because we might consider it boosting. And everybody's narrative is,
bro, it's so far away from the point.
BSG has always been against boosting. This has always been a thing that all the streamers know about. Everybody knows about. It's been talked about. It's so, they feel so strongly about it.
Yeah.
Yet when you look in the rules of the game, you look in the terms of service, and I'll be honest, I never read through them ever until all this went down. And there's one rule that you can maybe, with like some weird Russian to English translated legal speak, interpret, where it's like you can't write software or do whatever to simplify the game or do another thing to then make the game easier to gain an unfair advantage. And it's like, when I read that, my interpretation is dropping your buddy's gear as long as no money is, changing hands. I don't think violates any of the rules, but people want to point to what someone said in a streamer only Discord 2 years ago that I haven't seen it. I don't know if you're even a member. I don't even know what Discord it is. I'm not in any BSG Discords. I'm not in any Tarkov Discords. So I haven't seen it.
Yep.
It should be in the rules. It should be clear.
Yeah. And like you said,
it shouldn't be a 3-year-old tweet.
It gets reduced down to Vibin took 4 slicks. And if we wanted to, we could talk about that, about like, where that line is that if you're a streamer and you're not having your viewers ask you, but you're literally saying like, hey, I'm low on BP, guys, I need some BP. Like, because those are some accusations as well. And we can talk about that. And those are all fair and good conversations. But that's next to this so much bigger and more important conversation right now, which is like
hundreds of people ostensibly banned for RMT, and I promise you some of them falsely and unfairly banned.
And it's like, and the bigger conversation is like, what are the rules? Are they communicated? Are they clear? Why are people getting banned? Why is there no communication? You know what I mean? So it's like, I completely agree that. And then the information disseminates to us getting like, dude, if I've been ditching all my friend's stuff and insurance instead of bringing it back to him because I'm afraid to get banned. And I'm like, man, like, you're good. I promise you. And he's like, well, and I was like, I mean, whatever. Like, you know what I mean? I get it. If maybe you heard it
until he gets banned for some nebulous thing, maybe related, maybe unrelated.
Yeah.
And now he's going to blame you and he's going to say he got banned for RMT.
It's like, who knows? I know, I get it. Maybe you heard it in a Pestley video, or you heard it in another streamer, or maybe you heard someone joking. You didn't realize they were joking. You're new to the game. You don't really go on Twitter much, but you heard that stuff was going on. So like the communication just gets so far away from the point. You know what I mean? And it's so frustrating and it's so painful because it feels like nobody's talking about the point anymore. You know what I mean? Which is just like, yeah, this whole RMT thing. And once again, I just don't understand. I don't understand why, if it's RMT, you wouldn't want to go so hard. I agree that it is impossible to prove that there was a monetary transaction.
That's why they won't go so hard.
Happening.
They know they can't prove it.
Yeah.
Which is it's the end of my tinfoil hat theory that I just realized I got to is a bunch of people got banned in very much the same way that when Tweak got banned, we knew that was
bogus. Like,
there's no way that, given the way that all went down, that it wasn't a manual ban from a forum post that someone reported the clip of him teleporting.
Yeah.
When from his perspective, it was just netcode and he was just playing the game normally. And then, so by him getting unbanned, that was, and just like, a bunch of other prominent, Landmark getting unbanned, what that did is
fractured the trust.
Some people see that as, oh, well, that's streamer privilege. And sure, it might be. But what's more important is that is actually an admission that false bans happen.
Yeah.
So that's the most important thing that could possibly ever happen for all the people that get butthurt and mauled about only streamers get unbanned. Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the case.
But that's not the problem.
but you have to recognize that if the streamers never got unbanned, there would always be that plausible deniability that there's never been a false ban.
Yeah.
The moment someone prominent and the pressure leads to them getting unbanned, well, now you have gotten Battlestate to admit that false bans happen, which is the only way that normal non-streamers with a platform are ever going to get unbanned.
Yeah.
So it's important. So here's back to the RMT thing. What ended up happening is they can't go and say we banned Vibin and Quattro or whatever for RMT. They're not going to tell Vibin. They're not going to tell Quattro. They're not going to tell the community, because the moment they do, well, then now you can start to put together a, well, you know, like me, I don't play Tarkov off stream. So every minute of my Tarkov gameplay is on stream.
Yeah.
You can go ahead and look and see my ruble count is the same at the end of a stream, at the beginning of the stream, my stats. You could reverse engineer the last 90 days or whenever.
Yeah.
And you could actually, if you were really crazy, probably go through and figure out, you know, if there was a chance of me, you know, if all of a sudden I logged on one day and I had like 20 million rubles out of nowhere, or I had a black key card and it was like, where did that come from? Oh, you know, I found it in a scav raid. Crazy, you know? But they know that they can't say that, because now there's some ability to either cast doubt on their judgment, which then means you'd have all the normal people who potentially got unbanned, plus all of the actual people who were rightfully banned, all saying, "Oh my God, I got wrongly banned."
For sure, yeah.
So they can't unban these guys. They can't say why, and the fundamental reason is because they're banning people for they can't possibly know, and that's the fundamental issue.
Yeah,
there's no way you can know if someone did RMT unless you are able to prove they paid for the there are plenty of things that might look like carries, right?
Yeah.
If you go in a raid 10 times with a dude and that guy kills the entire lobby and he lets you grab all the stuff and you get out, that looks an awful lot like you're getting a carry, right?
Yeah.
But what's most important to me is you cannot prove they paid for that service, that they know the person was cheating.
Yeah.
There's no way you can prove those two things.
Yeah.
So you always run the risk, even if you're real confident, if you're 90% sure, that means you ban 1,000 people.
Yeah.
100 people now don't get to play the game.
And that's what's crazy, is that with the amount of people
wrongfully
that play Tarkov, you can even be 99% confident, and we're still talking about hundreds and hundreds of accounts that might get flagged unintentionally. You know what I mean? Like, that percentage can be high, but when a wipe happens, there's hundreds of thousands of players that log in. You know what I mean? So it's like, it gets really brutal. And like, to your point earlier about like when you were saying, you know, they don't go hard because they can't prove it. And so I was wondering this the other day, where it's like, you know, I'm always looking to like optimize. I'm always looking to get like, okay, if I spent 5 hours doing X thing, can I spend 1 hour and get myself 90% as good, right? Like, if I can get a 90% as good product in 1 hour, well, then the time to quality ratio is good for me. I'll take that 10% cut. You know, like, if they went with like 24-hour bans that didn't reset accounts, for people that like they still applied the really rigorous whatever heuristics to see, my guess is that, once again, 80 to 90% of the Timmy Jimmies that bought for the first time or a few times, they probably would get scared out of doing it, and they wouldn't have to go this hard with like 60-day reset your accounts. And it's one of those things where it's like, it's not an egregious enough punishment to really be as big of a deal, but it might get us most of the way there to like convincing most people. You know what I mean? Like, I was kind of like, you could do that, and it'd probably be just as effective. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Without
like, think about all the people that either didn't know, or, you know, maybe it was a one-time thing. They went and they got a carry or whatever, and maybe they didn't even know the guy was cheating. Maybe they went on Fiverr and they got like Sherpaing from Fiverr, which, by the way, you could say is arguably just as much boosting as a lot of other things. I mean, that's more boosting than a viewer giving you 4 slicks.
Yeah.
In my opinion, that's more boosting. But I also don't really care about boosting. It's not an issue unless you give access to your account. Like, you know, Diablo boosting, you could have it be like, make my account level 100 in one day, and they'll just bot farm chaos runs, and then give you your access to your account back. Like, that's a different story.
For sure.
But this whole idea that people say, well, they don't need to tell you why you were banned. It's in the terms of service. Sure, it's in the terms of service. It could be in the terms of service that they install a Bitcoin miner on your computer. It doesn't mean that we should be okay with them
100%.
installing Bitcoin. I think we should fight for them to amend that.
Yeah.
Because again, it goes to help their main goal, right? If they want to, and I'm all over the place. I realized I was like halfway through that first thing. If they don't want someone to do RMT, if they give out a 24-hour ban and said, we suspect you, we don't, a 24-hour saying, hey, we suspect you engaged in RMT, then you let people know it's against the rules. You give people a slap on the wrist. You also aren't saying we're sure. So you don't really have to even prove it. I wouldn't even tweet if I got one of those 24-hour. Even
nobody would be vitriolically irate at a 24-hour. They'd be mad, they'd tweet whatever, but it would blow over in literally 24 hours. You know what I mean? It would, like, you get 80% of the effectiveness and no risk of effectively by doing that.
If it were me, the ultimate PR strategy to win is you detect this stuff, you're only X% sure, and I promise you it's not 95 plus. It's going to be less than that, which to me is already below a threshold of like long-term banning somebody. You give them two of those, maybe a day, maybe a 3-day, and then after that it's permanent. Because if you get banned the first time and then you're like, oh, okay, and then you go and you do some slightly less bad thing that you think is okay, and you get a 3-day, and then we say next time you will never drop anything. But now it's like
exactly, and that's,
and you've
like,
saved yourself from any and all drama.
So much, and it just, like, why not take that route anyway? We've talked about this with anti-cheat too. Like we've said before, as long as there's any percent, 0.001% that somebody can get false, like, why not just go the extra mile for the extra precaution? Why not start with a 24, then do a 3-day, and then you hit them with the 60 and the account reset or the perma or something? Like, even if you never did perma, even if it was 24-hour 3-day and then 60-day plus account reset, and every infraction after that was another 60-day and another account reset, sure, 1 or 2 legit cheaters or legit RMTers might slip through those cracks and never actually get their account permanently banned, but it would mean so many less, people that went through, that got falsely flagged, would make it that far. You know what I mean? So it's like, why not?
And the 24 hours would have to start when you open up the launcher and you hit play. That's when it should start. So then because if you play on a Friday, you get banned on a Saturday and then come on Monday. It's a way to say, hey, for sure. But they don't think about these things. They don't give a. They have the hubris to think that they can never make any mistakes with these things, or they have they don't have. I feel they don't have the respect for the player base to be able to, or the confidence in their own methods to be able to stand by the things that they make.
It's like, it's such a, and that's the thing. It's like, as a reminder, like, if you're listening to this, this is all assuming everything we just said is still, I still hold and stand behind, even if I assumed Vibin was RMTing, even if I assumed Quattro was RMTing. I don't necessarily, but that's what we're saying. It's like, that's why we're so passionate about this, is because this isn't like a really big gray area. It's that even if you assume the worst of all the people involved, it still feels gross from BSG's end. So that's why I feel so confident, being so passionate about this, is because it just doesn't connect, and
it's so disingenuous to give someone.
Going back to all the stuff we talk about, respecting the player's time, respecting the player, period. This just doesn't feel that way, because once again, when an information void happens, the loudest voices fill it. And that's how you get all of the misinformation that we have right now, which is doing BSG so much more PR damage and fracturing the trust from their community than a few extra RMTers running around or something would, right? Like this is hurting them. And so I don't know, it just doesn't feel respectful to the players. Now, once again, like I'm sure there's a bunch of information we don't have here, but part of that is because we shouldn't have that information, and part of that is because I think we kind of should have that information, and they're choosing not to fill it. And so people start yelling and making up things. That information starts getting believed by other people, then disseminated, and we get this crazy game of telephone where you see us, where you see how many people think I've heard Veritas that Quattro Ace got banned for taking a black key card. Now you have the information from your conversations with Nikita and Pestily that apparently Nikita said that wasn't true, but that's what's going to be believed, and that is damaging.
And that's their fault.
And that is damaging. Yeah, it's their fault, and that is damaging because Quattro didn't know and immediately did right by it. So if that's not why he was banned, well, then he was banned for another reason, and maybe that reason justified him being banned or not. But because that information isn't given, you have thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people that think he just bought a black key card off the flea market, didn't know that guy RMT'd and instantly got banned. That's the story. That's the story around Quattro. That's the story around Vibin. He took a viewer kit that was too much of a viewer kit and got banned. And the story is that was his only transgression. And
on the other side, players are saying, well, as long as you don't get a backpack full of BP and slicks, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But again, it's like, where's the line?
Exactly,
Nobody knows.
Exactly.
Nobody knows what their script heuristics are. Nobody knows what those things are. And people, like the people that are like, yeah, rightfully so, he got boosted, it's not fair, and they should be banned for that. Those people, they are so confident. Like, here's what's going through their head. Whatever criteria I have in my head for what's reasonable is exactly what BSG thinks is reasonable, and nobody could ever fall outside of that. They could never do any wrong. There could never be the same thing when someone on Twitter, like the perfect example, someone on Twitter basically said, because I said, I think that I would much rather have 99 RMTers running around and have one person not be false banned than have 99 RMTers banned and one person innocently banned. Like that to me is like an injustice. I just hate unfair, unjust like that. And someone said, "No, I would totally deal with one or two false bans
as long as it wasn't them."
Yeah, and my response was, yeah, except if you were the one person, you wouldn't be happy that 100 RMTers were banned if you were also banned along with them. And that's the problem. Yeah. You in order to accept the logic that these people accept, you have to be a giant hypocrite. Yeah. And you have to assume it could never happen to me, or assume BSG's infallible. Yeah. And sorry, neither of those are true.
Yeah. If you got banned permanently and there was no reason why, like your thought is not going to be, well, the TOS says they don't have to tell me. Like, what? No way.
Yeah, and you should be okay with that too. Ignore the fact that if you're getting a slap on the wrist, the whole point is it should be a deterrent, right?
Yes.
Like, you're letting them back.
Exactly.
You're basically like, you should probably tell us what the issue is. Yeah. And the other thing is that people say, everybody always hides behind the whole, well, strategically, if they tell you, well, then that's going to help out the cheaters because they're going to. People need to use their heads. Yeah. There's a difference between saying we found cheats.exe accessing this memory address at this time, and so that's exactly how we knew you did it, and we honeypotted, we put some hidden items, and just say we found cheat software running on your computer. Yeah. That's not strategic information. Yeah. But here's the thing. They send emails for everything else. When BattlEye detects something, they send an email. Yeah. When they manually ban you or they do all the script or whatever, they don't send an email. And that's...
Yeah.
And we've got people
We've got
quoting fucking
mofos
rules.
literally quoting the TOS, literally missing the point completely. But yeah, so I don't know. It's rough, dude. The whole thing is rough, and there's an information vacuum, and people are filling it, and it's distracting people from the real conversation and convincing people that things will happen to them that won't. And it's a mess, dude. It's a mess. And I just don't know that, yeah. Just seems avoidable. At least part of it seems avoidable by BSG communicating or changing their strategy to why do we have to go from 0 to 100? You know what I mean? I don't know. There's a lot.
Yeah, and now this also goes to, more of a thing that I think a lot of people don't give a fuck about, or they'll roll their eyes at, or it might be less relatable, but the whole idea of you would think that if you had a relationship with people, you're talking to people at BSG, which a lot of people, when we talked about the whole Rengar thing and whatever, there were a lot of commenters that all hated our takes on that, and that's fine with me.
Totally fine with me.
I whatever. But there's some amount of respect, I think, that you should have for within the community. So when you want to temp ban someone for 60 days, not tell them what the reasons are. You'll tell them it wasn't black key card, but not going to tell you why. But then you also blacklist them from everywhere. You ignore them. You don't talk to them. They get banned from all of the Discords. Yeah. They get kicked out of everywhere. BSG unfollows them on Twitter,
which is
it just seems like weird, petty bullshit. It's what the are all these? I just don't know what's going on, and I don't know if this is one or two rogue idiots at BSG just doing whatever,
going ham,
or if this is official company policy. I have no idea.
Yeah.
It just sucks. It just sucks. And I don't care what the TOS says. If BSG did it the way that, if they did things differently, it would be better for everybody, including them. I don't care what their TOS says. Their TOS can say, we are allowed to have a dog game with terrible netcode filled with cheaters, with terrible sound and bad lighting. And people would say, well, you can't be mad, dude. It says in the TOS.
Yeah. Yeah. People, it's once again, nonsense. It's people what we're trying to do is we're trying to put ourselves in the shoes of the people that are affected and try to criticize some of these things because it would be, I haven't been affected by this at all. You know what I mean? But what I'm trying to do is be hey, this is a dangerous precedent, or we should talk about this or whatever. And yeah, the people quoting TOS and just being well, they're allowed to do whatever they want, LOL, would be that way exactly up until they got banned. You know what I mean? Like you were saying, there would be no, you know what I mean? There would be no, I knew this would happen. It was in the TOS. It's there's no empathy. There's no anything. There's no there's no just, it's all 0 to 100. You know what I mean? If as soon as you start to criticize BSG or anything at all, you know what I mean? You get the well, just shut up and stop playing. There's nothing in between that. You can't criticize anything they do, that you can't enjoy the game still. I'm still having a blast, but be this kind of irks me and I want to talk about it. It's just oh, you're complaining? Stop playing the game. Uninstall. Let's boycott them. Let's go. It's just there's no nuance. There's nothing in between. And it's exhausting, quite frankly. So,
yeah, I mean, these people are undiscussable.
Yeah.
You can't talk to these people. You just can't.
Yeah.
Just like the same people who you're hey man, you recognize that by the thing that I tweeted that I thought encapsulated my mantra about this was, if you're willing to accept a system that can ban without explanation, without a proper appeals system, and without a clear and unambiguous set of rules, you better hope it's a perfect system. or you should consider the possibility that you could end up on the wrong end of it.
Yeah.
And I promise you, they have no appeal system. The rules system is not clear and ambiguous, and they don't have to give you an explanation. So it's all well and good until you get banned permanently or for 60 days.
And they don't tell you why.
And they don't tell you why. It's all well and good until you are the victim of it. I mean, how many times have I said you make a rod for your own back? If you you're willing to accept these injustices because you think the ends justify the means, something tells me that these people haven't considered what it would be like if they were on the other side.
Yep.
And
by
what's
the
most
way,
important to me,
I feel like this strengthens the case for legitimate cheaters that get banned. Let's say I'm streamer X69420, and I'm cheating or I'm RMTing and I get banned. Well, what do I get to do? I get to hop on this bandwagon of I'm not, BSG sucks, they didn't tell me why, and I get more attention and more viewers and more money as a result of it. It strengthens his case. This whole freaking thing. You know what I mean? It's, it makes me sad in my heart.
Dude, let's ignore money changing hands. Do you think there should be any restriction on what you can do with the gear you've earned, either through farming money and then buying things, or literally like looting it off of things in raid? Like, is there any restriction that you think is reasonable?
I don't know. I don't think so. Obviously, I haven't thought about that a whole lot, but like, I think there was a time where I would have said maybe, but like with all of the restrictions that have been placed on the game, with how ineffective they seem to be, with how arbitrary they seem to be, and with now having these exact examples of like, it's all just a confusing mess where nothing can ever be proven and nothing can ever this, that, or the other. I kind of don't feel like, yeah, there can realistically be in an effective way. And I think people really overplay the extreme examples. You know what I mean? Maybe some streamers just say, chat, fill me up. I don't want to play this stupid game, but I want the best loot. Give it to me. But I think when we're talking about a game with hundreds of thousands of players, I don't think it's ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it just seems so weird to me that you would have like this stance, like some people are so like gatekeepy around the whole like you didn't earn the gear.
Yeah,
you didn't earn it, as if like I'm sure if they came across a PMC that got killed by a bot, I earned this because I clicked control click and I ran to the exfil. I earned it. Like I mean, really though?
Yeah. Or they're playing with their friend and they didn't have a quest key, but their friend did. So I was like, let me unlock the room for you.
Yeah, it's just it's one of those things like, I want to say, where do you draw the line? But in my opinion, there should be no line drawn. Like, to me, paying money for stuff is when you get into legal.
Yeah.
You're like, you're transferring or buying digital goods where the IP is owned by, another company.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a whole other legal ball game that I don't even want to get into. But when it just comes to like, if I have items, if the game allows me to drop it on the ground and it allows players to pick the thing up from the ground, and when some of those things you can't drop, some of those things you can only drop a certain limit of, some of those things you can sell on the flea and some of you can't. We have all these artificial restrictions, but we're also going to have a bunch of unknown, unstated restrictions where it's like, it seems so weird to me that they can say you can't drop a red key card in raid or whatever, such and such a thing. But if you like do X, Y, and Z that the game allows you to do, well, then that's also RMT. So then disallow that.
Yeah.
Like, either they should prevent everything mechanically in the game, literally.
Yeah.
Make it so that you can't discard anything. It all just goes poof. You can't loot bodies or whatever the it is.
Yeah.
Either do that, go the full extreme, or don't, and then figure out a different way to tackle the problem. Because the other aspect of it too is this whole idea is RMT. It supports cheaters, right? It props up
For sure.
the cheaters being able to have an account, buy an account secondhand for like $20, go and cheat for 2 days, farming stuff, selling it for real money, and then they get banned. But they made $60 in those 2 days, and they paid $20 so they can buy another account from a third party, and then go ahead and, they can basically just infinitely cheat. Even if the anti-cheat is working,
yes,
they can basically just infinitely cheat. That's the core issue about RMT.
Yep.
Nobody would give a about RMT. Not a single person would give a about RMT if there were no cheaters in the game.
Yeah.
Nobody would care. In fact, I would love it if everybody in my raid, if there was 10 people loaded into a raid and I was one of them, and the other people were like 4 duos. If they all had backpacks full of BP and slicks, I would love that. And one of them kills the other one, takes their and then goes along with the raid. Sweet, man. You're probably dog and I'll probably be able to kill you and take your stuff. I don't care if one person has a thing and then they give it to another person. It's not like they're duping items. Why do I care if person A has it or person B has it? I don't care, but I do care that I want to be able to have the freedom to give whatever the I want to other people. So there's just so many aspects of this. It just makes no fucking sense. They don't know how much RMT happened before. I promise you. They don't know if any of the changes they've made have helped RMT. They maybe have a vague idea of how many cheaters there were before.
Yeah.
Who knows if they have like a graph and the graph is like, we made all these bans and,
Yeah.
It would be really cool if they shared that with us, if they were like, we've made huge strides against these cheaters.
Yeah.
But instead, they just make all these bans. A bunch of people say it's false ban, and we still feel like there's cheaters in every raid. So it's like, what the?
Yep. Yeah, that's the thing is like, I like the RMT thing in general. Like, I was one that was big on the BSG train of like when all these changes were happening, I was like, we're blowing it out of proportion. Let's just see, like, I'm glad they're doing something. I'm glad they're really like attempting, but here we are, we're coming up, I think close on 2 years since some of those first initial, like you can't drop this in raid. I think it was mid to late last year where they changed where the keys, but like a lot of the found in raid, hideout items and stuff like that, I think is coming up on 2 years. And I just think that here we are a few years later. And as a player, it doesn't feel like the cheating situation is better. It doesn't feel like the RMT situation is better. It just feels like I'm slowly losing control of things that I should be able to control. And you hit on a really good point here where it's like, if there are lines drawn, then that implies anything I can do on this side of the line is okay. So dropping Vibin, 4 slicks, and a stack of BP, you have drawn a line of things I can't drop for him. And this isn't on that list. So it can't be wrong, right? I mean, right? It's like there is an implied this, these 10 things are wrong. Okay, so I'm allowed to do these things, right? And so like you get into this weird territory. And so like here we are 2 years later, and it just doesn't feel like anything is better other than every legit player has their experience hindered in some way. And so like, I don't know. I watched, I don't know if you saw Tiggs made a video. His video was, I didn't agree with everything in the video, but it was really respectful. He was constantly saying, dude, I love this game and I love BSG and I really want this to be like, and he threw out a ton of ideas and he was just like roll it all back. Like take all of the RMT changes. And if RMT increases, whatever. But like, it feels like cheaters are having to get more and more aggressive and kill more and more people to get the things that are droppable. You know what I mean? Whereas, and so the experience is more people are actually feeling like they're getting cheated on instead of just like the dude, whatever. And I'm not saying let the cheaters cheat, you know what I mean? By any stretch of the imagination, but it just feels like, do they not cheat now? You know what I mean? Do we feel like there's so many less cheaters now that it was worth it for every legit player? So I don't know, man. I don't know. It's like, I'm starting to feel that, where it's like I just don't know that we can draw the line on what a person's allowed to do with their loot, as long as they're not cheating and as long as there's no money being exchanged. And yeah, I don't know,
dude. It's one of the most, something that I've experienced only a couple times, like in my life, when it came to like relationships, either professional or whatever, where like like friendly, where like someone will get upset and they won't tell you why, or they'll gaslight the hell out of you. It's like honestly one of the most like toxic, like it just makes you question reality, and it's one of the it's one of those things that's just so difficult to deal with, and that's what that to me is like what I feel like I would feel like if I got the email tomorrow that I was banned.
Yeah.
Or if I went to log on tomorrow, I was banned, and they were like, "We're not going to tell you." That's like the worst thing. I'd probably would go straight to our next sponsor of the episode today, which is BetterHelp. Because for me, this is actually something that when it comes to like therapy and being able to talk to someone, having someone to talk about the things that you're struggling with, and to be able to just like bounce ideas off of people, to be able to speak and feel like heard, is something that, I mean, maybe content creators get to deal with that, although it's a different audience. But it can be life changing.
It can be.
when you're dealing with issues, whether or not it's you've got relationship issues, or you're depressed, or you've got career struggles that you're dealing with your coworkers or with your boss, or maybe you're just like not the person, you're not the person you want to be, you feel like you're not living to your full potential. Like being able to talk to somebody, it's incredible. And as I've said many times before, being able to use BetterHelp, which is an online digital therapy platform, was actually like life and career changing. And I even still have my my next appointment in 2 days, which I just got a reminder of, and I'm looking forward to it. Just to be able to share the things that that you either don't have someone to talk to, or don't want to for whatever reason. Like I said with Twitch chatter, like I'm not gonna go and talk about this drama and stuff with Tarkov with my wife. Like she not gonna burden her with that BS. Having a professional is huge. So
for sure,
I would 10,000% endorse and have been super happy to support them supporting us at BetterHelp. So if you want to live a more empowered life, therapy can get you there. You go to betterhelp.com/podcast. That's betterhelp.com/podcast. And use, actually, there's no code, right? We don't have a code. There's no code. You just go to betterhelp.com/podcast.
Yeah, betterhelp.com/podcast.
Sign up through the link and get 10% off your first month. For real, like
seriously,
it can change your life. So I would recommend it.
And the online component of it makes it unbelievably convenient for a lot of people. And you know what? Just to piggyback because of what you're saying, you know what's something I feel like Twitch chat and just like a lot of people, not even Twitch chat, the internet, whether it's Twitch chat, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Reddit, a component of humanity that we miss is sometimes even our own thoughts when spoken out loud. We can immediately like learn something from it and be like, I said that and I disagree with it. I said that and it wasn't until I got it out. I needed to get that out of myself. I was so frustrated. I needed to just say that. And I feel like what happens now is all the way we regurgitate those things online, and then they're there forever. And now we feel like we have to defend that position. So like having someone, a human being in your life where you can like have the safety to just like speak and then like process and then form more rock solid opinions based on your previous versions of those opinions. Crazy undervalued as like a life hack for like actual existence, and like a therapist is like a perfect place for that.
Dude, this is like even beyond the advertisement now at this point.
Yeah.
Like, this is actually just something I want
Human
to talk about for like
psychology.
a minute.
So yeah, so once again, thank you so much to BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode. Thank you. But yeah. Go ahead.
There's two different outcomes. Whenever there's something like on my mind and I talk to my therapist about it, there's two outcomes, and both of them are actually like amazing. Because I know my therapist she's objective. She's like a third party.
Yeah.
She's not a Twitch chatter who doesn't like me, read about me on Reddit. She's not someone who loves BSG or loves the game or hates streamers or hates the game or is a cheater. You know, like she's just a responsible, rational, normal human being that can kind of see things, you know, from, I think, a much healthier perspective.
Yeah.
And either I'll explain something and she'll be like, wow, that sucks. That's really challenging. I see how that could feel. You know, you could feel like trying to explain things to your audience could be impossible and how you would get frustrated. And, you know, that's really tough. And just having someone be like, yo, I see that you're in this seemingly impossible position and that's really difficult, is like, oh, like I don't feel alone anymore.
Yep.
Feeling alone, you know, with like standing up on stage and having the audience looking at me like I have my pants off, you know, misunderstanding what I'm saying or whatever. But then other times she'll say, oh, well, have you thought about this, or haven't you thought about that, or maybe have you? And it's like, oh, no, I haven't thought about that. You know, and that's actually like super significant. Yeah. So I mean,
I can't agree more. I think like it's just like it's such a internet thing, and we have to figure out how to deal with it, right? Like, because it's this is the world we live now. There's no going back from the internet. But like, yeah, when you're only inundated in the echo chamber, other people agree with you or disagree with you. It's like it like kind of like falsely amplifies the importance of a thing. And it's not to negate that it is important to you, but sometimes all it takes is me talking to another human being, to like a therapist or to my wife or to somebody else. And as you're saying the words, you're like, oh, this is kind of cringy that I'm so worked up about it. And it's not to minimize the way you feel something. It's actually a middle. It's because a lot of times if I'm talking to my wife, or they'll be like, oh, that sucks. But it's just like, it's just peeking the, you know, the submarine back up for water. And you're like, there's a world up here. There's a lot more. And I feel like we don't do
putting
that.
Putting it in perspective.
Yeah, we don't do that a lot. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'll get up from work and I'll be so frustrated, or I'll be so hurt. I'm reading comments or something like this. And then we just go for a walk. And I'm looking at my son and my wife, and we're just walking, and I'm just like, you know what? You know,
why am I upset about
Tarkov, exactly. And it doesn't minimize or say that the feelings I had were invalid. It just helps bring broader perspective. So yeah, but that's very anti the internet, where you say something once, well, now you have to believe that for forever, and it's literally set in stone. I can even if you delete this tweet, I've got screenshots of it, and it's like, well then now I don't want to look like an idiot, so I'm going to defend a position I don't inherently believe, and things get weird really fast. You know what I mean?
And then couple that all with, like, we're getting a little meta here, but I'm fine with it. It's all made worse by the, like, I don't even know what to call it. I hate like the buzzwords because people will like cringe and then instantly put you in like a category or whatever. But like, I don't want to say like toxic masculinity, but like that whole idea of like, why are you talking about your feelings?
Yeah.
Why do you have any emotion? Why are you like there's only one thing. You either need to want to fight someone.
Yeah.
Or you're like focused in the zone, or, you know, you're like chill. Like those are the only three modes you're allowed to be in. You can't be sad. You can't feel alone.
Yeah.
You can't be frustrated. Like it's and a lot of it is just immature kids. I'm sure I was probably the same way when I was 15, 16. I would have banned 15-year-old me from my own chat. And called my 15-year-old me a simpleton loser.
I would have totally banned 15-year-old me from my chat too. Yeah, for sure.
Because I would have been a condescending little prick.
Yep.
Because I thought I knew everything.
Yep.
And then now I'm sure everybody's already typing, well, do you think you know everything now?
Yeah.
No, I don't think I know everything. And that's the thing. I get frustrated because I know where I'm ignorant, and I don't talk about the things that I don't know as if I do know them.
Yeah.
And that's what, frustrates me so much. But like, so I know a lot of it is just immaturity and people, but a lot of it is just like the culture, especially on the internet.
Yeah.
With the way that you're supposed to feel gaming and your way you're supposed to be. And like, I'm not even at this point, I'm not even trying to tell anybody that they're wrong or try to change any minds. This is for all the people that like agree with me that maybe haven't heard anybody else tell them.
For sure.
It's okay to feel whatever the you feel. It's okay to not be, to not want to instantly respond to every sort of disagreement with I'm gonna physically fight you because I'm in 9th grade and this is the only way I know how to solve problems. So yeah,
for sure.
It's all right to take some time to think about things, to say you don't know. It's okay to be upset and to be emotional and whatever. You shouldn't be embarrassed. And anybody that makes you feel embarrassed,
they're the ones that are the joke.
You need therapy, and you should go to betterhelp.com/podcast.
They got the extended ad today. No, I love it. And it's so funny because it really does like touch on so many of the things that we talk about all the time. So yeah, man, I don't know. The whole situation has been a mess with the bans and everything. And it really has just gotten me to reflect a lot more on like RMT and the changes, and does it feel like they're helping? You know what I mean? It's, you've got 10,000 plus hours in the game. I've got 6,000 hours in the game. We both played an unreal amount of Tarkov pre any of these RMT changes. After the game got incredibly popular, when the cheating got really bad, but before these changes, we have thousands of hours around that time, and it just doesn't feel any better. And of course, my feeling is not anything to go off of to change, but it just doesn't feel any better. And it's really having me consider like these RMT changes and just like, man, do we just need to I don't know, roll it all back and try again a new way? You know what I mean? I don't know. Like,
dude, coming off of like one of the best weeks in years of Tarkov, like the community went from being completely fractured and hating everything to then everybody came together and it was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then I feel like BSG just imploded the whole thing by making a bunch of changes, doubling down on a lot of these bans, not communicating very well.
Yep.
It was just a big L.
Yeah.
I think is what the kids say.
Oh, it's been really rough.
There is one massive giant good news item for the first time that I can say in what feels like a bajillion years, which it seems to me at least that binaural is working.
Yeah. I was like
for the first time
eagerly awaiting your opinion about it, because I turned it on and expected to just, the same thing and be like, whatever. And I was running with Velian and I was like, whoa. And so I stopped and Velian kept running and I turned around and I put my back to Velian while he was running. And I was like, I can tell that that's behind me. Like I can tell that that's behind me. I was like, oh, we might be onto something, boys. You know what I mean? So
one of the things, be careful when you test that like that, because there's like the lingering information in your brain where if you move the sound from the front to behind, then it's like totally sounds behind. Totally definitely sounds behind, which is why the whole moving your head thing.
For sure. But what caught my attention was I wasn't attempting an experiment. I was running and went, you sound different. And you know what I mean? So I was like, I knew I wasn't by any stretch of the imagination a scientific experiment, but just from playing hundreds and hundreds of hours since the wipe, I like turned it on and then went, whoa. You know what I mean? I was like, I can feel something's different here. So
I was on reserve, like sitting in a corner, like on a stairwell, like reading chat and talking back and forth. And I heard a sound and I was like, that's behind me. Like hand off the mouse, off the keyboard. I'm like, yo, that's behind me.
Yep.
Like, yo. And it was in the middle of, actually, you know what? I was in the staircase of, what's like in reserve, the med building.
Oh yeah. White.
With the two locked doors.
Yeah.
so I was on the staircase, just the 2-story staircase with my back to like, it's just grass out there with like the tanks.
Yep.
If you hear like shooting centered, 98% of the time it's in front. It's like towards the rest of the map when you're like 20 minutes into a raid.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nope, that's behind me. I can tell. They're like running in from the tanks about to go onto like that back roof and you know, or whatever. And I was like every context clue, the map knowledge would tell me it's in front.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh, I could tell. So now I don't know about vertical. I haven't tested it yet. There were a couple times where it like seemed like it was a little okay. But the occlusion, as far as I can tell, is exactly the same as it was. Just that's completely weird and stuff.
Because binaural is working, if somebody like there's a few places on customs where like on skeleton, there aren't like really clear occlusion zones because like it's all open, right? We're not like in a building. Binaural is definitely giving the information like, oh, like that's above. You know what I mean? That's because they haven't actually crossed into a new occlusion zone. They happen to be above you. And so you're getting a little bit better vertical through that, but the occlusion zone mess is still there. And I feel like people still, which is understandable, just don't understand all of the pieces of the puzzle. And this is what was driving me nuts today, was that like there are multiple distinct and unrelated issues with the audio. One was that the binaural just didn't work. All right. It was the extension cord plugged into itself. Nothing was happening. And then separate from that, the occlusion zones on maps like Interchange and Shoreline and Reserve are scuffed and sound is a pancake and it's all on one floor. I was playing Shoreline the other day. This was before the patch, but I was playing Shoreline and I was on the first floor of West Wing, okay? And I was like unlocking a door and I was like, Seal, do you hear that? And I heard the tiptoeing. I heard a guy who was crouched and his walk speed was all the way down. And I heard his tiptoeing. And we spent 10 minutes looking for this guy and he was on the roof. And I was on the first floor. Okay, so pancake.
I had the opposite too. I had the opposite. I was in, God, I really need to know the buildings. The 3 buildings around the helicopter on Reserve, the one that has the drop down room with like the text spawns.
Yeah, closer to Dome.
Yeah. So I was right in front of the entrance, like bottom of the stairs, there's the entrance. And there, you know how there's the hallway?
Yeah.
And then there's like the 2 rectangles that come off the front. That's like the walkway to the front doors. The scav was I was in the hallway and he was a foot to my left past where that thing was. He sounded like he was underground, completely muffled. He was shooting at me and it was like a million miles away. And I turn and it's a scav with an SKS to my temple. Like, whoa, what the fuck? And it might have been because I don't know if that was a combination of occlusion zones and or the fact that I had actually gone prone and was holding the hallway because I thought a guy was going to come down the stairs. And I like did the whole kind of prone lean and there's a chance it put me in the basement underground and completely up, you know, like I have no idea.
But like the occlusion zone thing, and like correct me if I'm wrong here, is a different issue. It's
binaural has nothing to do with it.
Okay. Thank you.
Which is also why people say it's working on some maps and not working on others. That's, as far as I can tell, it's nonsense.
Oh, thank you. But it makes it so. Hey, is the audio better?
Here's the 3-hour documentary.
Yeah, yes, but no. You know what I mean? Because is the audio better? Yes. Well, I just played Interchange and it's the same. Well, binaural is better. Well, there isn't binaural on Interchange. No, the audio is not better. This easier. I just can't. I can't do it. I can't have this conversation so many times. I can't do it. I can't do it. An hour into the stream, I made my stream title. I don't know if the audio is better. Period. I said it went from 95% broken to 80% broken. Yes. Yeah. And so it's just like
I'm not gonna say why. I'm not gonna give details.
It's so I'm in a raid. Valiant's talking to me. I've got a dono message, and you're the 100th person that's asked, and I gave you a quick answer, and you said I was wrong, and I can't do this. You know what I mean? I can't do this anymore. You know what I mean? I don't know how to simplify that. You know what I mean? And it's not the chatter's fault by any stretch of the imagination, bro. They hate that the audio's busted just as much as I do. You know what I mean? But I can't give a documentary TLDR every time. You know what I mean? It's like, try, you know, it's just like try binaural.
Forget.
Just try binaural.
I mean, and this goes to, I hate to touch on the therapy thing again, but this goes to the fact that, like, I totally understand someone's been wondering about the patch all day long. They're so excited to show up to Veritas or Jesse's stream.
Yeah.
They're like, yo, I just got here. Tell me all about the sound. There's nothing wrong from your perspective with that, but it's still the most annoying when everybody's like, I just got here. Veritas, fill me in. It's like, you forget you're not the main protagonist of the story, and that every 4 minutes someone comes in and asks, I just got here. What's the audio? I just got here. What's the audio? I just got here. What's the audio? I just got here, you know? So you basically have to say, like, you just have to give the stupid dumbed down version that there's no way to do it. I just stopped answering and was letting chat answer.
Yeah.
Because it's too difficult to, like, give people the information you know they need or they want.
And the pain is that I hate that it requires a dissertation to explain. Like, I hate that the audio is so broken. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, ultimately, this all falls back on BSG. Like, I hate the audio is so broken in so many different ways that in order to answer a question, is the audio better, I actually feel like I have to explain 7 different things to you because it's so messed up in so many different ways. And that's not your fault, and it's not my fault. It's freaking BSG's fault. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's busted. You know what I mean? So it's like, so ultimately, like you said, binaural does feel better, by the way. I personally didn't have any memory leaks throughout the day. I felt my frames were totally fine having binaural on. I do feel like it was better, but there were still multiple times in the day where I was yelling, I hate the audio. This audio sucks. This audio got me killed. And that was because a different audio issue presented itself that got me killed. And that's just a mushy mess. You know what I mean? So, like, if you're out there, the occlusion still sucks, interchange still sucks, reserve still sucks, but maybe try turning on binaural. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the whole thing where you, like, just get done explaining the whole thing and you're like, well, this is occlusion zones and this is what this means and this and that and this and this and this and that. And then somebody is like, the audio is not at all better. It's stupid. It sucks. BSG sucks. This patch was an L and they didn't fix anything. And I'm like,
yeah, they should remove Steam Audio. When are they going to add an anti-cheat? It should be kernel level, whatever they add.
Yeah.
You know, also, like, Bush did 9/11, and, you know, that's every conversation, what it feels like these days in Twitch chat. It's essentially all of those things. But yeah, like, I'm caveating all of this with, I haven't tested this exact thing in this exact thing today in this exact scenario, but conceptually, the whole idea of the maps, the whole idea of binaural audio being one thing, and then I'm distracted. Oh god, yeah, I'm distracted again by the people in chat saying clip the explanation, make a command. It's too long for a clip.
Yeah,
and that's another thing that's frustrating. Stop telling us to make clips.
Yeah,
because
then someone's gonna watch the clip and then ask a follow-up question, and then it's not gonna save any time.
But I saw on One Peg's video that there's such a thing that disagrees with your clip. Jesus, mother of God! Like, how about people just understand the extent of your ignorance is far vaster than you know. Let us just do what we're doing.
Yeah, or just play the game if you want to know.
But back to what I was saying before I got distracted by 3 separate people all saying, make a clip and give it to your mods. The whole idea of we've fixed audio on X map, or we've optimized this map or this map, it's completely separate conceptually from binaural audio.
Yes.
What they're talking about there is a few things, but primarily occlusion.
Yeah.
And the simplest way, and I might as well just explain it for all the people that you know, who are going to be like, well, you didn't explain it here, so
yeah.
The dumbest, simplest way of explaining it is, imagine you have a house in the middle of a field. You want, if you're outside and someone's inside, one's going to sound a little bit muffled to the other, vice versa.
Yeah. And that's occlusion. There's something in the way.
Yeah.
And
it's
it
occluding the audio.
The sound. Yeah.
So these things exist between buildings, you know, indoor, outdoor. They exist between floors. They exist, you know, so whatever. That's work that BSG needs to do to get Oculus and whatever their system underneath that they've written.
Yeah.
All of the pieces working together. It takes time to go through and say, okay, well, we need to fix this so it sounds more natural. We need to tweak this, and we, you know, and then but then there's binaural. Now, binaural is not a thing that's map specific.
Yeah.
The way binaural sound works, it's actually really elegant and really simple. And binaural just means two. Oral is sound, basically, or you know, hearing. It basically means two ears. It replicates just like binocular vision is with two eyes. And that's how you get depth perception and 3D vision, right? It's the same thing with audio. What binaural, and or in this context, you can equate it with the whole idea of HRTF. It refers to what's called a head-related transfer function.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds complicated. Just picture it like a math problem. X equals A plus B plus C, whatever.
Yeah.
You don't need to know the details of it. It doesn't matter. There are a couple of inputs into this function. It's what's the sound?
Yep.
And then it's what's the location of the sound in 3D space, X, Y, Z.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's what's the location of your left ear? You take those things, you put them into a machine magical function, and it spits out the sound you should play in your left channel of your headphones.
Yeah.
And then do the same thing for your right ear and the sound. And that slight difference in where the space is in relation to the sound, you will get slightly different processed audio for each ear. That's enough to give you like 95% of for your brain to put together the pieces of where the sound is. That's not map specific. You could do it in grid map void world where it's, you know, like before in the Matrix where there's the white space before the rack of guns because whoosh flying by you. It can work anywhere. It can work above and beyond occlusion zones. Like none of it actually matters. The occlusion can be done, you know, before or after. It doesn't change anything. The occlusion is separate.
Exactly.
So that's why the whole idea of like binaural doesn't work on, you know, interchange or whatever. Like
you got to think binaural is your head. You know what I mean? And occlusion zones are the actual structure, framing, wood. You think about it that way, right? Like we know that it's another layer, you know what I mean? That like you can build a map and have no occlusion zones, interchange right now. But you think about it that way. The occlusion zones are the physical world around you, and binaural is your brain. And if you, no matter where your brain is, it's working. So if you have binaural on, you can be on any map. Like you ever get, you know, water in your ear and you can't tell what's going on. And that's binaural's messing up. You have water in your ear. That has nothing to do with the structure around you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and but the occlusion zones are the geometry, like a sub level of the geometry determining what audio should be played. And that's why interchange feels like woods right now. Interchange feels like a flat. It's all on the floor. You know, it's one level because the occlusion is weird. I had a bug I had never happened before. I was on Customs. I was playing with Airwing. I was Customs, and Customs is one of the maps that's listed with the better occlusion zones. I'm pretty sure. I might be wrong there. And I was on the first floor of dorms, and I was running, and like the clip, Airwing's like, I think there's a guy up on second, and I go, okay, I'm gonna push him. And so you know I think
I saw this.
The stairways, and I get up.
Silent, right?
Airwing. There's no sound. I'm running. There's no the game audio is gone. There's nothing in my headphones. and I'm running around first floor, and I was like, Erwin, there's no audio. And he was like, yo, Alt F4, Alt F4. So I opened a door to go into a room, and whoosh, all the ambient noise comes back when I go into a room. So I don't know what the hell that was. I don't know if it sent me up to the freaking second floor and left me up there, but I was not where that was crazy.
Yeah, and see, I say occlusion, I'm also like simplifying it a bit. There's other things that go on, which you've probably heard when it sounds like a sound goes underwater.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
All of a sudden becomes like super low passed or whatever. It's like, what the hell was that? That's actually something that if Steam Audio did it, it would have been turned up to 1. Whereas if Oculus, it's turned up to 15. Like, I don't know what the deal is. It's really super, super drastic.
Yeah.
And that there's elements of like filtering or something that they're doing. It's like the Doppler effect. I don't even know what it's doing. Yeah. That's also like super, super exaggerated and is related to, I'm sure, related to the occlusion zones. But yeah, I don't know about that whole. I saw that clip. But
freaking weird.
But that's like another thing that I don't think is necessarily. It's not like an occlusion thing.
Yeah,
it's a bug that probably is something related. Like it might interact with the occlusion, but it's like a bug separate from
the occlusion. Obviously was set right. Whatever happened at the correct threshold, but something that then interacted with the occlusion. Say, hey, is he on this level? Messed up.
It's possible that like it crashed your sound driver. And your sound driver needed to restart or something like that.
Who knows? But it was just crazy.
Yeah. One of the biggest, most problematic things that the experience these days is that I don't remember experiencing ever with Steam Audio. Let me give an example. I was in the bottom corner of the medical loot building on Reserve.
Yeah.
Once again, you probably
White
know
Bishop, I think. I don't know.
Green Knight or whatever.
Green Butterfly.
Yeah, the Pink Ranger and the Dark Knight. I was in Heath Ledger and I was in like one of the rooms that no one ever goes in, just like one of the corner rooms.
Yeah.
With like, there's like a stretcher and like a table and some boxes, right? But there's like 2 big windows. It's on the corner, right? There's 2 giant windows with no glass.
Yeah.
And in real life, the fact that you're inside and they're outside, if there's no glass there, you're effectively outside.
Yeah.
So when the guy is like running around, flanking around outside the building, and you hear it like the guy sounded like he was running full speed at Dome.
Yep.
He was 6 inches from me with no glass in between.
Yeah.
Totally silent. That's like one of the issues where it comes to occlusion.
Yeah.
That before it only, like, think about it. Steam Audio, other than a couple of like the ghost noises and whatever, the only issue really was the staircase occlusion was busted on like Shoreline and on Customs. Where else was there issues?
There were, I mean, you're definitely right that in relation to what we have now, there were some issues where like on Shoreline, on the resort, you couldn't hear anybody below you no matter what floor you were on, but you could always hear people above you no matter what floor you were on. Weird stuff like that. But like,
well, that was a later thing. Like when I did my Steam Audio video, I had above and below on those floors.
That was after that video, that bug presented itself into the audio, but it was in for at least an entire wipe or two. But you're absolutely right. Like seeing some of the shenanigans we've been dealing with now, looking back on Steam Audio, and it's vindicating to see how many people were like, oh, it's so distracting to hear a click at the beginning of my raid. And I'm like, oh yeah, I bet you, wouldn't you like that now? Having the click, the phantom click, and some weird other stuff with staircases. Oof, compared to what we have now, dude. Holy cow.
Yeah, and there's just so many weird scenarios where it's like if I'm outside and they're like on the second floor, you'll like hear them clearly. And with binaural, there was an example today where I was like, I can tell that they're like there.
Yeah.
And I can hear them. But as they're walking, I can't see them because they're behind a
Yeah.
wall on the second floor. But it was like footstep, 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 footstep,
Yeah.
footstep. Yeah. And it was like they're just walking down the hallway, and it's like occlusion, no occlusion, occlusion, no occlusion, occlusion.
Yeah.
It's like the weirdest.
On and off. You know what I mean?
Imagine watching an ambulance go by, and rather than go, it's like,
yeah,
you're like, oh, what the fuck? You
Yep.
get disoriented because you're like,
100%.
what I'm hearing doesn't match what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
And it's so confusing.
Yep. There's no like, yeah, it's just like a straight path, a straight line between you and whatever. There's no like wrap around. You know what I mean? Like if an ambulance, if you're standing on one side of a building and an ambulance, you hear it on the left side, you hear it, it wraps around and it's behind the building. The sound is echoing and wrapping around to you. So the difference isn't woo, 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 woo. It's just like gradual, you know what I mean? But that's what we get.
The ambulance jumped off a ramp, went into the lake, popped up out of the lake.
Yeah.
I'm picturing like, remember that you ever play with that dolphin game where you were constantly trying to like get to the moon as a dolphin?
Yeah.
An old Flash game. It's like that where you're just like,
yeah.
No, the scene from Saving Private Ryan, D-Day, is the best one.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Dives into the water, and it's like you just see the like bullets coming through the water, and then that's what it's like to walk through.
Yeah, just walk down a hallway.
to walk through Heath Ledger on Reserve.
Yeah.
I'm now referring to that building as Heath Ledger, by the way, forever.
Okay.
Rest in peace.
So today's patch did bring more than just that. We did get the audio binaural. Check it out. If you're still losing frames, I'm sorry. It seems like the memory leak is better. Try binaural. Do whatever you want. I don't care anymore. There were some other things that came with the patch. Have you seen the grouping system?
It looks sweet.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
So it's cool. There
has to be 19 bugs.
Not bugs, but there's some functionality I would like to see it expanded on. I haven't actually experienced a
now
single.
You're just being nitpicky.
Yeah,
if it doesn't blue screen your computer, it's a win. Okay.
It's true though, but that's what I haven't seen a single bug with it. A single one actually. So the user interface is in the bottom right. You actually see like you and like a 4+ signs, like a lot of traditional games. You can click, you can invite your friend. When you're all in a party, you can all be in your stashes. And if you're the party leader and I go and I click woods and I click daytime and I insure my gear and I click next. So now we're at the lobby where traditionally you would see all the players. There are no players. Like your character's in the center of the screen now, and there's like two invisible people to your back. So it's like you're forming like a V. And when I click next and get to the lobby, it sends an invite to you. Something pops up on your screen and it says, Jesse Kazam or I Am Pizza Man wants to go to Woods. Are you ready? And if you click yes, you skip Escape from Tarkov, you skip map, you skip time, you skip next. If you just click next, yes, from no matter where you are, in your hideout, in your stash, you go straight to the insurance screen. You insure your stuff, you click next, now you're in the lobby and I can queue us up. If you click no, I'm not ready,
it says too bad, bitch.
Yeah. If you say no, I'm not ready, a green button appears in the bottom left hand of your screen. And you can interact with your stash or whatever. And whenever you're ready, you just click that button. You're at the insurance screen. You insure, you click next. When everyone's ready, I can queue us up. So that's cool. That
wild.
And it works really well. The things, and then so the other good things about it. As soon as you're done with the raid, you're back, still in. So when the party leader's ready, he can just get to the lobby. It sends the invite. The invite's a little like obtrusive. It's like this huge thing, but it works and it works fine. And then bada bing boom bow. So you stay queued up, whatever. If I have to like Alt F4, we remain queued together in this party. Like it keeps us all. It's awesome.
You go to log in a week later, you're still in the party. You're like, I can't.
The only thing rough is that if you scav army, you're stayed party together after the raid, so I have to disband. I have to disband the group after a scav army. But that means that if we get out of a raid and me and Valiant want to scav, we're already partied up. So you kind of have to have that a little bit. So here are the things that I would like to see changed. One, if you're the party leader, I cannot click the escape from Tarkov button. I can't click that to see like what time of day it is. If he was like doing something, he's like, yo, check what time. Like I cannot interact with that button at all. I can't go to it like and go to the insurance screen and click ensure all while I'm waiting on you. If you're the party leader, I don't get to click escape from Tarkov, which isn't that big of a deal, but it would just be, give me one level, you know?
On that note, conceptually, that's why, like, from a user experience and like software design perspective, decoupling as many things as you can from one another is always a W.
Yeah.
It's always a W. So the ability to ensure all, the ability to see what the time is, all of that assumes you are getting into a raid.
Yeah.
It's a part of the pre-raid flow, which is like, that's the problem, right? Like if you're designing the pre-raid flow, like maybe put that, you know, a part of it, but also think about how those other features could be used.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like therapists, healing services, it should be in the services tab, right?
Yeah.
They only assume you want to use it after you've died. But that's just a side note of like, the reason why you're having those problems is because poor design decisions around coupling features together that shouldn't necessarily be coupled.
Yeah. And then the only other thing is I would like, and I don't even know if this might be too much to ask. This might not be a BSG thing, but this just might be out. But like, so we're partied up. You and me spawn in. 30 seconds later, I die to a scav. And you're like, you're gonna be 8 minutes free to get across the map, right? I have to leave the group to run a scav raid. So it would be cool to be able to like hop into a scav raid as long as I'm not inviting other people to the party and editing the party to like hop into that scav raid. And then when I'm out, so it's like, it won't let me hit escape from Tarkov. So then, I have to go disband the group and then I run my scav and then he gets out and then we go to the lobby and then, we have to group up again. So it's like, that would be kind of cool if I could like run a solo scav if I'm not editing the party. But by and large, it works really well. It works really well. So that was a W.
Hell yeah.
Some of the other stuff, I can't like a lot of miscellaneous bug fixes for like third-party animations and random stuff like that. The only other really notable things were and they fixed the skill points. So like Shooter Born in Heaven gives you the right amount of skill points for sniper and stuff like that. They added ergonomic movement speed and turning penalties to backpacks. Which
I thought they removed.
They did, yeah. They were in the game back in the day, then they removed them, and then everything still sucked, and then they made all these changes where they halved the movement speed, turning speed, and ergonomic hit of all the armors and all the helmets in the game. But then they added these. Now, it's not significant. Unless you're like raid bagging every raid, like the tri-zip had a 2 or 3% change in movement speed. Like
if you hadn't told me about it, I wouldn't have noticed.
And that's what I
running
said.
Pilgrims and all kinds of
and
stuff.
That's what I was saying. It was like if they added that back but didn't put the numbers, nobody would notice. Nobody would be like, it's been feeling weird. Unless maybe you perma run raid bags, which I think is a 9% difference. So and somebody asked was like, oh, well, doesn't that negate all the changes that they did? Not at all. Literally helmets and armor were both reduced by 50%. So it brought the needle back up a little bit, but it didn't negate everything. In general, I think it was like, why? Like, I just like, nobody wants it. You literally just made changes to make these penalties less. I'm very confused as to why they put that back, but it's not enough to... Yeah, it's just a nothing burger because it's like the people that defend it and be like, well, it should have it. Well, it doesn't do enough for you to notice. And then they've just made changes to take it away. So it's like, why not leave it? So like, it's weird. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't agree with the change, but it doesn't matter because it's not significant enough to make a difference.
Like 6% ergonomics I forget exactly how ergo works, but like that's got to be way more significant than 5% turn speed.
Well, isn't ergonomic just like a whole number? It's not percent. It's just like -6 ergo. So if your gun
It
has,
says ergonomics -6%.
oh, I have no idea then.
Um,
But is that of the gun specifically? So if your gun had 50 ergo, 6% of 50 isn't that much. You know what I mean? Like,
no, dude, it's 6%.
yeah,
What
more,
do you mean?
more.
It's percent. Yeah.
Per like every cent that I have, 6 of them go away
It's
from
6.
ergo, and
Of
2
course.
something else like mag
Yep,
drills or something. Yeah,
Yeah.
understood.
Yeah. Now I'm not a financial. 6% is a good return on your investment in the ergo business,
In the
but
ergo biz, yeah,
it's a completely meaningless number. Yeah.
Yeah.
All I know is, and then this was actually one of the things that like Clean I'd never thought about, and I remember I was like a part of the conversation when Clean had mentioned to Nikita, like, hey, all the penalties on backpacks, as well as like armor, are redundant.
yeah,
Because you already, like, the more weight you have, you
Yeah.
already get movement speed and ergonomics hits
exactly.
from the extra weight. So why do you need those
Yeah.
modifiers?
If
And that's when they
have
dial
an
them all back.
empty backpack on my back, it is not affecting my ability to move. It's when I put stuff in it that is heavy and has weight that my ability to move is changed, and that happens in the game. The more I put in my bag, the heavier I get, which reduces my movement speed and my walking speed. So why?
Because every solution is a 3-layer removed solution.
Yeah.
They don't care about you dropping a black key card. They care about you selling the black key card.
Yeah.
But they're going to make it so you can't drop it. You know, they want to punish people for running around with giant backpacks full of loot.
Yeah.
So they're going to make it so that wearing a giant backpack is not good. It's like,
Yeah.
what? I don't know. Just apparently they have like a lead game designer.
And the only other thing was that they said that they addressed some of the issues causing invisible players. I don't know if you've heard, but it's still happening. 911.
What do you mean? I haven't heard.
Yeah.
In the last
911.
14 nanoseconds.
The percentage of chats saying the invisibility bug is still in the game that were all caps was sky high. Nobody whispered that message. It was, I need to make sure you know right now that the invisibility bug is still in the game. So,
but also I have to say, and I don't know if this is something I've just mentioned a million times on my own stream or if we talked about it last week or not, but just because you didn't see the guy who killed you doesn't mean he was invisible.
correct.
It's a sufficient.
Yeah.
It's a necessary but not sufficient condition.
Yeah.
The main, to me, the main indication that you were killed or are dying to an invisible player is that you hear nothing other than your character taking damage.
Yeah.
And it's actually distinct from like a suppressed gun from super far away.
Yeah. You could get shot from a DVL from 300 meters and not hear the DVL, but you hear or the impact if they miss. That guy's not invisible to you.
Instead, you just go,
yeah.
And it's like, what the
VoIP, like we talked about the VoIP and the taunts. Like somebody sent me a clip today where they were on a rock on woods and they heard a bear taunt and they turned around and there was no bear and then it was complete silence and it was like dead, and I was like, that sucks, bro. I'm really sorry. Like that was legit because I was like, because this was early in the day and someone was like, the invisibility bug's still in the thing, and he was like, I have a clip. I was like, I'd love to see it. Like, you know what I mean? Because I'm thinking the same thing, and I was like, all right, yeah, that sucks, bro. I'm sorry. Like, now they definitely didn't say this is the second time they've addressed that bug, and they didn't say either time that they've fixed it completely. The wording of it was like address some of the causes of the invisibility bug. What's The problem is that like that means nothing to us because like we didn't know how often it was really happening. You had all this anecdotal evidence of I die every single raid to an invisible bug, or I've never seen the invisibility bug, or it happens all the time in my group, but enemies I've never encountered anybody that was invisible, but someone in my group. So it's really hard to tell like if it is happening 75% less or 1% less. Like it's actually impossible to tell if the change that happened today was like a W or not, because it's just impossible to tell. And because what we know is like, I asked my chat this earlier. I was like, if we could guarantee as positive as we could be that they removed completely every interaction of the invisibility bug, I was like, do we think we would still see reports of it on Reddit and Twitter? And everyone in chat was like, yeah, absolutely. I was like, okay. So it's like, so we just have to like, there's nothing the player can really do. It does still seem to be happening. I don't know. Any question you have beyond that, I don't know. Is it less? Is it more? Is it better? Are there more fixes coming?
Dude, they could fix it 100% tomorrow, and there would still be thousands of people reporting it.
Yeah, 100%.
It's
That's
just
saying,
like
yeah.
the sound, just because of misconceptions. Like,
yeah.
So that's why it's like, we're literally either way, because so many people are ignorant as to like how it manifests.
Yeah.
The number of different ways in which it could manifest, that they misdiagnose it, that it's like the boy who cried wolf.
Yeah.
You know, it's either happening all the time to everybody, or it's totally fixed, or it's never been fixed, or it had, some people said, like, a guy said, he died to an invisible player 7 raids in a row. And it's like, okay, I'm not saying you're lying.
Yeah, technically it's possible.
But how have I played 100 hours and seen 1 invisible player? You're either the least lucky person in the world, or
you're like unplugging your router while in raid or something, like,
or maybe you misunderstand what it's like to actually experience an invisible player, or some other thing that I haven't thought of. But I'm being generous saying that they're all equally likely.
Yeah. So I don't know. But that's the Tarkov news. That's the Tarkov. That was the patch. It wasn't the patch. It wasn't the patch that saved Tarkov. Some really good things happened. Some things that the invisibility thing, I don't know if they closed some loopholes or closed some bugs. The sound is better, but not better. And that's it. So yeah, that's the Tarkov stuff. The drama, the bans, the RMT, the patch notes.
The inch-high rocks that get you killed.
The branch bushes that render an adult male completely immobile.
W shift versus shift W. There's always, oh man, I dude, to think back to how there was a universe, there was a time, chat, where every streamer talked about the problem with the game was that there were too many hatchlings. That was the only thing that was
what a time,
like troublesome for so many people, was that there's so many hatchlings. I went in and I wiped an entire lobby full of hatchlings.
We didn't know how good we had it.
We didn't know. Boy, Boobala, we didn't know. I was just a little babushka.
I was just a little babushka. Damn.
Oh,
they got me in the feels. Well, I have a story time this time. I have a story time.
What's the title of it? I gotta open up
the
bomb
threat.
My God.
It was hard because I'm like scared that I already told the story and then the story's not gonna be. But if you don't remember bomb threat, then
oh, you know what? I was trying to remember what it was that it was the dialing 911 on a payphone.
Yes.
I was like, you said something that I said. It was that.
Something. Yeah.
So unless that was bomb threat.
No, that wasn't bomb threat. So
yeah.
I was in 10th grade. I went to a public high school, and I like my crew, I guess, were the like goth emo
Popular kids. You get
no, it was like it wasn't. It was like the table I sat at lunch was like the table of the people that didn't have a table. So it was like there was like a bunch of weird people, but that was all. I was all friends with the with the homies for sure. But it was like a lot of like the goth kids sat there and a few like other people. Like it was.
Was this long hair, Jesse? Like the picture?
This was long hair, Jesse. This was actually exact. This was shoulder length, parted in the middle. I straightened my hair every morning. This was that.
He was a hot chick.
Era
Jesse
of my
like
life.
A hot chick.
Yeah, this was that era of my life. And so we're going in. So, and for context, this was like the first time I had ever been to a public school, and like my parents, like they started sending us to public school. We were in private school, anyways. So it was like this was all a new experience to them. And so on the day before, 2 days before midterms, like I don't know if they were called midterms, but like the tests you take before you go on Christmas break, the big middle of the year tests. Somebody wrote on the bathroom, like, I'm going to blow up the school tomorrow. And
like a Sharpie on the stall door.
Yes. So they found it. Obviously, you have to call everybody and like let them know and stuff like
that.
And we didn't go to school. So we had to, we pushed all the tests off to, and it was pretty obvious that it was somebody trying to get out of doing the test. But obviously you have to kind of have to do everything. Anyways, so this is like 4 weeks later, right? Like we come back to school. This is like January. We take our test, and one random day, I hear over the intercom, well, Jesse Kazam, I'm redacting my last name. Well, Jesse Kazam, please report to the principal's office. And it was funny because like everybody in the class turned around and looked at me like he's never done anything. Like, this guy's never said a word to any of us. There's no way this guy's in trouble. And I was like, okay.
Attention. Jesse Kazam, a.k.a. the Unabomber. Can you please come to the...
Yeah. So they pull me in the office, and at this point, I really don't know what's going on. And they were like, do you remember what happened? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, how were you feeling that day? I swear to God.
What a loaded question. You said what, 10th grade?
10th grade.
You were like, what do I look like?
Dude,
4
weeks ago, I swear, like, I am not exaggerating this. How were you feeling that day? Were you especially frustrated? Veritas, when I am telling you.
Were you feeling exploding?
When I tell you what I'm about to say is in no way embellished at all for dramatic effect. This dude sat a laptop in front of me, opened it up, and showed me security camera footage of me in the cafeteria getting up from my lunch table and walking into the bathroom. And he said, "What were you doing in there?"
What did they carbon date the Sharpie?
It was the bathroom that it was written in, and it was the day that they found it.
You're the only person that went.
And I was like, peeing. And they were like, you were in there for a while. And I was like, brother.
Okay, number 2. I had to go number 2, okay?
And at this point, I remember really trying not to laugh. Like, I remember really trying not to laugh.
But you were probably like a little scared, right? Like,
yeah. No, I don't remember being scared at all because I was like, dude, you have no, I mean, bro, I grew up, I was like youth group kid. I was like in the church band.
You knew you were like, dude, my dad is the president of this school.
Dude, I kind of had that attitude. I was like, I am so far, like, you will find nothing. Like, you will, I thought it was funny. I remember trying not to laugh. And he was like, he's just asking all these questions, dude. And then I swear to God, he said, can we open your backpack and pull out a piece of your work and photocopy it so we can compare the handwriting? And I was like,
going to say handwriting analysis.
I was like, sure. So they took a piece of my homework, they copied it in, and they sent me back to class. And then over the next 2 days, they pulled everybody that sits at that lunch table into the office, and they were asking them about me. They asked, how was Jesse feeling that day? They were
When he writes his bomb threats on walls, does he do it with his right hand or his left hand? We have to know, this is important.
We're convinced, bro, at the lunch table, because we sat close to the bathroom where it happened on the day. And dude, it was a moment in my life that I knew was becoming a story I could tell. I was so like elated by this happening. You know, you're in high school, bro. It's
This
like,
is amazing.
it's like I'm getting pulled out of class for this. Like, sure, dude. But that picture, first time in a public school, right? Of me or my brothers, youth group family. Okay, dude, when I tell you, I told my mom, dude, she lost it. She
went mom.
Oh,
she went full Karen.
Mom, bro. She was going down to the office. She was calling the administrators, bro. And
She had her name legally changed to Karen.
Thought it was hilarious, dude. Hilarious. And literally every time these people would come back and they were laughing. Like the people at my lunch table, they were like, how were they not asking me? They were like, these people were like, I would do that so many more years before you would do that. And I was like, dude, I don't know. Like it was so funny. So they 100% tried to blame me for a bomb threat on the school, but they could. I mean, there was nothing. I don't know if they ever caught the person. Literally, it just fizzled out. They just stopped calling me into the office, and that was it. But like, they absolutely tried to blame this bomb threat on me, and it was hilarious.
Dude, that's amazing. I would have acted exactly how you acted. It wasn't until fairly recently that, like, if I had gotten brought into like the police station for like a suspected murder, like 10 years ago, I would be like so excited that I was experiencing like this side of the CS, because I'd be like, I didn't do anything. I have nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
And then I discovered fucking CS criminal psychology and recognized, like, I say the wrong thing
all the time
and I'm getting the electric chair, dog. Like, I'm going to get pulled over for speeding one of these days, and a police officer is going to be like, you know why I pulled you over? I'll be like, I got to call my lawyer, dog. Like, I got to call my lawyer. I'm supposed to call my lawyer, right? I think I got to call my lawyer,
dude,
right? Like
100%. 100%.
Oh, man.
So that was a gem.
Dude, that's amazing.
That was a gem of a story from my life. Yep.
Dude, I think I could probably fit in, because it's super quick,
yes.
breaking into a house, just because this was me actually doing a criminal crime, whereas
God.
you didn't. But it was the best possible story. So I think I was probably like maybe 10.
Okay.
And this was obviously in GTA.
In GTA.
Don't cross-reference any of the dates or whatever. I'm sure it'll line up. We had these neighbors that lived across the street. There were these two guys that were just assholes, man.
Okay.
We'd play like wiffle ball, and we'd like hit the wiffle ball over into their yard, and the guy had a bucket. He'd walk over, grab the ball, put it in a bucket, put it in his garage, and just like, he was one of those guys.
Douche.
Just a utter piece of shit. Now, he like moved out, and the house was vacant for like months, and we were thinking like, yo, I wonder if he like left
our wiffle balls,
the like tennis balls and the racket balls and the wiffle balls and baseballs and whatever the fuck. Like, we should like go check it out. And I think part of it was one of my my three best friends were brothers. One of them is like 4 years older. He's probably like 14 or 15. Pretty sure it was like his idea.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, well, let's go check it out. Like, the house is vacant. Like, what the? Well, there was one of those unironic lawn flamingos. All I remember is it's like a blur. Like, I wasn't in control of this situation. I was just like 10-year-old me. was suddenly like my buddy Eric, who lived down the street, was like, Eric, you're in the front. Stay on the front lawn. You're the lookout. My boy grabs the lawn flamingo and says, come with me. We go around back. You know the basement of like...
Yeah. There's like windows.
There's those small windows like in the foundation.
Yep.
With the lawn flamingo, like... And I just remember being like,
this is
like
happening.
My stomach dropping. And he was like, you're the littlest. Get in. And I remember like getting in like halfway and then hearing my buddy Eric go, guys.
No.
And we run around the front and we look, and my buddy Eric's waving to his mom driving by in a minivan, and she like pulls over and he's like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, nothing, Mom. It's like, and the three of us come out like lawn flamingo behind the back, like, And yeah, that's my story breaking it. Technically, I think my feet got past the threshold, so
it
technically
was
I did
and entering, but
technically I did a B&E.
We didn't stay long. That is insane.
I just remember seeing my buddy like, I'm the lookout. Hey, Ma!
Oh,
hey, Ma,
my.
come on. And he's like, what?
Literally the opposite of a lookout.
Idiot.
Dude. And imagine if he had done that, but like 30 seconds later, you were like in the house. And he was like, hey, Mom.
Can you imagine if I was like, all right, guys, I'm in. I look up and they're just gone. And I'm in like the basement of this house.
You can't reach the window.
You know what? I would have died of starvation in there before I would have thought to just go out the front door. Like
one way
locked,
in,
right?
one way out.
It's locked, right? You know, I'm sure it never would have occurred to me to just go unlock the door.
Oh
I'm
my
sure it
God.
never would have.
That's awesome.
Man. In GTA, of course.
In GTA, of course. The flamingos are everywhere in GTA.
They should have been looking for me at that lunch table, but
yeah,
I was too busy.
Nah, dude.
Doing real criminal crime.
I'm doing hard time. Oh, that's so great. Well,
dude, we need more Jesse story time. That's amazing.
Dude, I need to think of some more. I was talking, chat today was like, literally, they were like, you have 8 hours to come up with a story. And then I was like, oh, have I told you guys about the bomb threat? And they were like, what? And I was like, all right, that's perfect.
Hell yeah, dude.
That's perfect. Well, cool. Well, thank you guys all for hanging. That was good. A little spicy, but lot going on. So once again, huge thank you to Factor and BetterHelp for the sponsoring. Huge shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for listening and making it happen. The support's been crazy. YouTube's still going crazy. The downloads are going crazy. You guys are awesome. So thanks for thinking it's fun. And yeah, you guys are awesome. This will be live early next week. We'll keep an eye on anything happening. I pinned a comment on our most recent, because I posted the episode Monday, and it was like Sunday, all the stuff started happening. Saturday and Sunday with like all the bands, and I was like, hey, we're going to talk about it, but like, don't, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, we do it a little bit in advance. So, but yeah, so thank you guys for hanging with us, and we will definitely see y'all in the next one.
Peace.